Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. On my first. No a prioris in math. One is a theory is legit. Anything else means infinite abuse, drop the numerator, key to destroy future abuse, since it's not worth risking loss, competing interpretations, reasonabilities, arbitrary, which invites judgment, mention, erase to the margin. No RBIs is illogical to win for being fair, otherwise it justifies people banning theories win on a screaming counter interpretation. No, and use norm setting, it justifies. No, it solves multiple future rounds instead of just one. Always was go back theory first, much larger strategic loss, 1/4 of 1 AR versus 1/7 of 1 in C spirit, over text and disincentivizability. I mean, you need a counter interpretation in terms of the shell form. And 2 is fairness first. A is constitutive, debate is a competitive activity, which means fairness is intrinsic at speech times CS. Winner and loser all prove B. So defeating every argument actively concedes authority, fairness by presuming that judge will evaluate it fairly. Absent some reciprocal judge. Debate a relationship you just has E is evaluate or C is evaluation. Fairness is a meta constraint on your ability to evaluate the round. If one debater had an advantage over another, there would be incongruence in their ability to prove the truth of their arguments, which means no crosstabs. 3 is odd, means moral obligation. The moral obligation takes out logical a prioris and linguistic a prioris, reject truth testing for comparative worlds. 1 is topic and comparing different worlds incentivizes studying to the topic while truth testing over that outweighs since there's limited time to debate the resolution. 2 is resolvability. It's impossible to weigh under truth claims under truth testing, i.e. one statement cannot be more true than another. That outweighs comparative worlds, reflects the nuance of actual ideas, which leads to higher quality in your base. 3 is limits. There are infinite ways to prove this resolution true or false through paradoxes or spikes. That limits clash in skew strategy. 4 is research, comparing proposals, encourage deep and reciprocal research that's necessary for iterative testing versus their models, neutral triggers, and a prioris. And 4 is interpretation. The negative must grant the app either permissibility or presumption before the 1 AR violations are preemptive inherent to the answer. B prefer A strategy, otherwise it incentivizes the 1 to be multiple. It is important, probably the 1 in presumption permissibility offense, which is particularly bad since there isn't a substantive truth to each side of the question. It's just how long you have to spend on it, which means a negative win substance to each round. B is times UI. Have to invest major time in the 1 AR winning both because too much flexibility can cost either one with a hidden trigger, only having to answer 1 or 2 weighing safely half that time, which is key to 4 minutes in the 1 AR. 5 is interpretation. Debaters must read arguments that don't result in a win for them, independent of whether they are winning offense back to a specific framework. This does not include arguments that link to fairness or education. To clarify, no a prioris. It is preemptive. Prefer 1 strategy each a priori, in other words, to valid another way to root my offense. I have to win each a priori in another piece of offense, which is definitionally irreciprocal. 2 is clash strategy of reading a priori, thus hide as many as possible in the ACNC and then extend whatever gets dropped since they're all super short and blibby. Even when I game for some, they'll just go for others. 6 interpretation. D affirmative must concede the negative must concede to affirmative framework or contention level offense violation. It's a preemptive. You violate by reading terms or defense of my offense and reading alternative framework for A strategy. It's impossible for the 1 AR to win both layers of framing and offense win. You can frame me out and read a bunch of terms to the half, making the round impossible in 4 minutes, especially since the 2 end can class either on framework or contention for 6 minutes. B is netting reactivity advantage after disclosure and 1 and time allocations being the craft the perfect 1 and C conceding 1 layer substance solves since it gives me a way and recourse and strategic 1 AR maneuvers without having to brute force both. Choose at the class we pick and choose whether to be offense or framework and win, which means we have a discussion either of each one. Every round step that way, since reading 1 page of 100 different books is useless and superficial breadth is solved multiple rounds when people choose different layer in each and hijack solves all of your offense since they can test both the framework and the offense while maintaining the 1 AR relation one substance framework. The meta-ethic is moral relativism. Ethics should guide behavior rather than making objective statements about the world. Anything else collapses to moral relativism. That's Jensen 16. Always agree about morality, response, morals, or personal taste, moral truths, vary from person to person, there's no principles, everything based on individual desires, and that necessitates individual agency. That's true with 84. To begin, every agent asks for a purpose, every regard is good, every agent must accept their rights to freedom, moral, every agent must submit, other agents have the rights, and other agents have agency, every agent must act in accord with the rights of your freedom. And agency is expressed in 2 modes of pursuing models of freedom. 1 is non-interference, the principle that each agent is independent of other agents, such as have the capacity to interfere with your agency. 2 is non-domination, the principle that interference is legitimate insofar as it's not dominate over your agency. Thus, the standard is freedom as non-domination. Through distinguishing arbitrary and non-arbitrary interference, non-domination guides political legitimacy and justifies state interference and individual freedom. That's Pettit 12. Legitimacy is secured in the state by the constraints imposed by the Constitution. Freedom is a matter of civic status. Interference with your first not be dominating, coercion will not jeopardize freedom if they exercise control over interference. Prefer. Additionally, 1 is obligations. Domination is binary since predictions fail. They fail because you use induction to prove induction, but that circular also fails to guide action since we only know consequence after it happens. 2 is relativity. Multiple ethical obligations can coexist absent an authority to jurisdiction between them, but authority alone can't create obligations since I would have to be motivated by coercion. Thus, I affirm the resolution. The United States ought to adopt a wealth tax. I defend the resolution as a general principle. That means it should hold true no matter the time or empirical circumstances, and I will defend net preferences on specificity insofar as it doesn't require me to abandon my maxim. Fiat is illusory and all resolvable in terms of check 3 rounds to solve back against any abuse, and wealth tax offense wealth tax reduces inequality and political influence, which is key to a democratic non-domination. That's Wallace 23. Wealth tax advanced non-domination by reducing power of the wealthy, reduce political spending, and in turn political influence powers derived from wealth further could reduce inequality and positively affect mobility. And the 1AC method. One is that all means pronounced 9. Child tells the mother attends the child while the younger child is left in the shoulder and begins to cry. That means the mother ought to attend the crying child even though the mother can attend to the crying child in the stroller. It's false. 2 is Holmes. Enoch 11. Holmes smokes cigars is true, and Holmes smokes pipe is true, even though Holmes doesn't exist, participants implicitly use an in-fiction operator, and so true, the valuable discourse can be committed to unacceptable ontological claims. Wait, I have a minute left, hold on. Let me see if there's anything else I can read. Okay. Interpretation neither, imagine this is in the overview at the very top, even though it's at the end. Interpretation debaters may neither debate, actually wait. Oh my god, I already read that one. Sorry y'all, hold on. That's fine.
All right.
I'm gonna run across.
Cool. Everyone else good? Okay, I'll start. As per the interpretation of the AFC shell, what is a framework? Does that include, is truth testing considered a framework, like a roll of the ballot? Or, yeah.
We've read reasons as to why you shouldn't be reading truth testing.
What? Wait, actually, does the affirmative...
I guess you can read truth testing, sure.
Does the affirmative function under truth testing? Have you, in the app that you told me it was closest to, there was a truth testing warrant in it. Is there any justifications for truth testing in this app?
No, we say you should prefer comparative worlds, but that doesn't mean we can. That doesn't mean it's comparative worlds for the whole debate.
Sure. So does Pettit claim to be consequentialist?
No.
Then why are we preferring comparative worlds?
We think the world of the affirmative is a good thing. We think a wealth tax
okay,
is
but
good.
If Pettit is non-consequentialist and you make a claim about why fiat is illusory or something, then what world are we comparing Pettit to?
What do you mean?
Exactly.
What? No, it's the status quo in the world of the affirmative.
Okay, so does the app implement?
We defend the resolution as a general principle.
So you defend it as a truth statement?
We can defend the implementation of it.
So you do implement. And Pettit claims to be, the argument is that non-domination is just a question of authentic freedom or whatever, which is inherently non-consequentialist, right? You've made the claim that Pettit is non-consequentialist.
Wait, so, I'm confused as to why something non-consequentialist can't be offense under a comparative world. We're saying our world is still good. We're just using a certain framework to justify our world.
The app implements a world, or actually, all right, that's fine. The method argument, the Holmes and whatever, what is the purpose of these cards? The tagline is just 2 words each. What does it mean?
So sure, the Mizrahi card basically says that it is still possible to have moral obligations even if you technically have multiple of them.
Okay.
So the example is that a mother has 2 children, one of them is crying.
Yeah, no, I get the example. I guess
so the mother still has an obligation to both of them, even though
obligation. So it's just saying conflicting obligations can exist. Is that just a claim? Actually, have you made a warrant for why permissibility or presumption affirm in the 1AC?
No, but
awesome.
I read a shell. Okay, and
do you
want me to explain the Holmes one or no?
The Holmes one just says that we can fictionally determine whether it's true or false, even if it's not physical. Is that the argument?
Not really.
All right.
Not really, but okay.
Well, no, that's fine. You can explain it.
Oh, okay. Basically, Holmes is saying that even though Holmes is a fictional character and the world of Sherlock Holmes doesn't actually exist, we can still make true claims about what Holmes and who he is, which means truth and obligation can still exist.
Under a comparative worlds framework, allegedly, does extinction outweigh? What's the biggest impact?
Non-domination.
Okay. I'll take a little bit of prep. Kinkaid too?
Yeah.
Okay, if you defend a comparative world,
Well,
how
I
are we
just-
supposed to assume that the world of the affirmative is good if consequences fail and aren't possible to predict?
Because we think the affirmative world is still good no matter what.
Why though? How can we predict that?
Because we think the resolution as like a statement is like
So
a
the
good
resolution
world.
is true.
I mean, okay, think of it like that.
Awesome. Alright, minute 41 left. I'll send the 1 and C. The order is going to be 3, then case. Case, it is going to be some like overview arguments, and then the shells, like all the shells that were read, and then the framework proper and the offense and stuff.
How many offs did you say?
3. Let me just put that in real quick, because I need tabs open. Alright.
Hey, sorry, is there an order on the case page?
Yeah, on the case page, overview arguments, which you probably should flip separately. Oh, I can't stand.
Like your
Oh,
own
yeah,
overview
yeah.
arguments, or?
Yeah, my own. Then, all the shells, and then the actual headed stuff and offense. It's also super like delineated in the doc too. I'll like sign those.
I'm good.
Oh wait, is the Octas? Yes.
Yeah, it
Sorry,
is.
I did not notice that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Good. Let's go. We're good. Alright, cool. The standard is protecting a system of equal freedom through upholding individual liberty. Freedom is giving all people the ability to pursue their own ends. In other words, my right to swing a face ends when it hits someone else's face after the snare of the negative burden is to show that the wealth itself does not violate equal freedom, intrinsically warning taxation. And conversely, the affirmative burden is to show that the concept of wealth violates freedom and ought to be intrinsically taxing. It's capable of making choice once you take equal freedom. People can use property to make liberty to set their own ends as long as they don't violate others' rights. 1506. Idea of equal freedom comes to the sensible terms to your own purposes. Equal freedom must produce persons really set to their own purposes consistent with the freedom of others and do the same. People exercise their own powers in a particular context normally results in the people's exercise of their own freedom. Yet in the case of property, the harm principle demands a positive case each other and enforcing it is the only way to protect the practice. However, the rational enforcement for the rules of chance would be not the chance to otherwise be vulnerable to collapse. We would need to look at the effects of the violations organized in the rules created again by prohibiting their violation. One is ownership. Ownership entails setting your own ends. The burden of the affirmative prove that we have a practical obligation for the government to supersede our natural right to ownership. To clarify, the affirmative must prove that wealth itself should be taxed, not that taxes are good because of some impact to you. Wealth is an intrinsic negative right, absent coercion or fraudulent trade. Individuals have a right to the money that they legitimately obtain. Montana 14, legitimacy required wealth obtained through voluntarily non-fraudulent trade. Others have legitimate property right to they consider to spend or save or give it away. They choose a solution to not attack all to limit the political or economic advantages of the values determined by the consumers or buyers, and the government expropriate violates property rights. Argument for the income expropriation taxation justified by beneficiaries to benefit the nonsense of the thief gets away stolen, loot, steal. D3 taxation treats people's rights and instruments disregarding their agency. Davies 20 claims no course of taxation is justified. Indicate the state may take away independent of a person because of the management of the state. Thus, the rights of the sum to be violated on individual grounds. Second, I contend that monism with the idea that only one thing exists as opposed to multiple objects is true. One multiple worlds interpretation of cosmological consensus best explains the wave function. Group in 20 cosmologists expose the MWI as a way to explain the universe itself. Single uncontrolled wave function only the way that the universe can be described. There are single possible location of particles and incident either incident anymore will describe science as the multiverse. All state let's implications and predictions fail. The universe all different possibilities illustrate impossibilities pertaining consequence and Newtonian linear interpretations fail since the accountability occurs. B aggregation fails. Infinite number of universes with infinite number of life forms. Hedonistic experiences aggregation are nonsensical when calculating the implications. Quantum monism solves in verifiable pos. Guaranteed according to quantum monism.
reality is not something throughout their single entangled quantum state. The underlying multiverse homogeneity and temperature fluctuations causing microwaves indicate that observable universes can be traced back to a single quantum state that fuels predominant inflation. That single entanglement of the universe does not stop at our cosmological patch. Quantum models underlying the many universes to the limits has not return as blurry guides. Guidelines outline agents inconsistent with understand morality renders useless. You can't serve as an action. A priori rationality comes first. Cartesian skepticism. I can be dreaming, hallucinating, controlled by demons. No pure knowledge is unreliable. Only thing I do is know that I'm down here reasoning to be causal determinism. The physics would revolve removing culpability from an agent, and the agent occurs because the antecedent is not their will. A priori would be a rational agent subject to physical side constraints. Skip the next one. Space must be between it and distinguish things that as multiple objects. Otherwise, it's separate. A, the a priori, the world is subject to empirical contingencies like spatial separation. B, all lines are fundamentally identical, given that it's a spatial entity. Monism negates one by means lexical and agent. When it's the United States, a federation forming a nation, usually specified territory. Further, when you see monism proves that agents and groups cannot exist, that outweighs the rest can't prescribe value statements and the object obligation is incoherent to ethics require conduct between agents, i.e. a principle, even if one has a duty to the self, it assumes a difference between the self and the mind, otherwise it's not a duty and self-imposed. 3 is specific to the affirmative. They talk about like individual agency, which implicates a separation between two agents. 3. The mind ethic is egoism, evolution proves the all prioritize self-interest. They are too in an environment where survival organisms satisfy their own needs. The organism usually places like before, and the ego's behavior contributes to fitness. I contend the skeptic case the resolution of all of our substance standards, absolute truth is necessary. A constituent statements either true or false, something in between. The only way to affirm is through 100% truth. The resolution B is logic of skepticism being truth, and it's impossible to know whether or not the past action is morally moral, and the skeptic comes before they get to a case. And Kate has the principle because we dispute the existence of obligations. They don't need to allow because that evolution is shaped with the form of beliefs. That means that our moral truths are our best contention. Our beliefs are not necessarily true, but are consistent to the circumstance. Evolution or country appears survival and more correct as being our version of pain is a biological B argument for disagreement. And disagreement one party must be incorrect, and there's a lot of moral disagreement. Many people hold incorrect moral beliefs. Such a great error moral beliefs indicates that there's no reliable process for belief formation. Thus, we should give those beliefs. The argument for relativity. Each person has their own understanding of the right and wrong. It could be proven because our evidence best gives massive downside chance 16. Sorry about morality response to that. Morals and personal needs being the answer. Well, who minus who is right? Then moral truth theory includes rebelling against the philosophical impulse itself. There's no concept of correct moral principles in the but the individual desires to be moral. Rigorous every person has to be moral. There's no answer that can simply choose not to follow the ethical theory. People like Temple near Hitler prove we can choose to act morally. There's no ethical theory that provides to see moral truth. Cannot just subject knowledge to merely acceptance of each individual's conception of the good. And I can try anyone agent can justify for referring to universal look only justify the rule, but arguing from some general principle of reason must be blind. So you should reason terminally determining which no further reason can be given. The terms of investigations that's always choice are guided by criteria to individual adopting principles of a choice of principles. Individual ethical pluralism means all actors have different conceptions of the good. Destroying when he sees a moral truth denies alternative conceptions, which is functionally the same logic as racial discrimination. Skip the next card. Negate because the affirmative cannot impose binding years to more ethics. Use epistemic confidence for solvability. It's incoherent to debate framings that are modesty because framework is not a question of probability. Any risk their framing is false makes it false. To truth testing only confidence is incoherent under a truth testing frame because truth is a binary question, not a sliding scale probability case. Presumption of permissibility negate. Note that they have not made a presumption of permissibility arguments in the 1AC, which means the user reject any new one-error justifications because of a 2+1 speech skew. 1 is semantic exception proactive obligation to require because you and Nixon search combination prohibition obligation permissibility. Proof 1 is for the other semantics that way. It's key to virtually practice on the wording of the resolution to be considered to the rules of debates and the judge obligated to vote in the social text. 2 negating harder personal speech controls debate 1 error upland increases sense of skew. The F is the family choosing offense. 3 safety ethically safer to assume the SCO since we know what the SCO is. We kind of where the F will be good if ethics are incoherent. They can get half theory with the 1 and 2 gets theory new 2 in our paradigm issues. Key to check back infinite 1 error abuse and allow us to garner offense in the theory flow. It's good for reciprocity. Yes, RBI is a key to check back bad theory norming and prevent no risk issues when you're being abused by reading theory. Conceding the fairness first and truth first or whatever as a framework. I don't actually know if they read it or not. Presumption, permissibility shell. Now the shells. Counterformation, the negative may defend the presumption of permissibility negate without conceding either clash, forcing concession of potentially round-ending offense on the theory debate. Kills clash and forces either by the violation or concede offense. Ground, giving them presumption of permissibility skews neg ground and lets them leverage fill offense that way since it destroys the engagement and makes substantive argument first clash. Turn stress you force you just debate P and P for it. They which incentivizes better clash and force you to make nuanced prep against it. Topic it is not unique. Spamming frivolous 1AC3 kills topic education. Grant us the RBI. No paradigm cross implications leads to stress you where they can assert arbitrary from theory arguments. Education theory is a generic. The topic is limited to the topic is limited second compensation we are asking for, not because we're being fair, but because you were being abusive by reading it. Otherwise, there's literally no check in effective defense. The second shell counterpresentation, the negative may read arguments that negate independent cohesive framing. Cohesive framing mechanism. Also, I need because I link all my offense to true testing, which means that none of this even matters in the first place. AFC shell. I mean, I've conceded. I have conceded true testing, and also the libertarian NC proves that I need because it can link under the 1AC framework, even if they try to argue that true testing is not a role of the ballot. But also counterpresentation, the negative may read an alternative role of the ballot. It's good for philosophical education. They can't crowd out my philosophical offense and clash. It means that we actually have debates instead of just conceding things. Don't be a coward. Debate me for it. Reciprocity. Also, you get to pick the 1AC framework, which means that I should be able to respond to the framework. Otherwise, we would spill the framing. The rule of balance is vote for the debate that proves the truth and falsity of the resolution before raised ground. She doesn't have more ground than the rule of balance is allows for infinite amounts of argumentation, style, reverence, style, giving the most depth of the topic and feel that is necessity that all statements imply implicit truth bias, that I small bias is tendency is truth, true that I small bias creates a double bind because they implicitly accepts truth as a paradigm. Top level, there is no way you defend comparative worlds with the least consequentialist author in existence. The meta-ethic collapses to egoism. Jensen is a neg argument because it proves that egoism is true and there's no internal link. There's not a link between relative ethics and agency. The Gerwith evidence, there's no internal warranting. They say agents act what they believe is good. That's a wrong assumption because we don't know what goodness is. The interference and domination arguments, we link turn it. The app increases domination because taxation is coercive. Good for cross.
Okay. Is the first off, I guess, offense under truth testing?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it proves the resolution false.
How?
It proves the premise of the resolution false. It says that the resolution does not uphold a system of equal freedom, thus we ought not do it.
Monoism? What does this say?
It says that the world is essentially like a quantum wave that is one thing. So we cannot distinguish between agents because we are all bundles of molecules that are tapped into the same reality.
And if we can't distinguish between agents, why does that mean, I guess, no moral obligations?
Because the United States cannot do anything because the resolution in which you defend implicitly implies that one actor is doing something to another actor. Second, it functionally zeroes any risk that your framing is true because it argues between agents. That's literally a line in the 1AC, which means that if that's impossible, then Pettit is therefore completely false and you presume negative. Also probably triggers permissibility because we don't know what our obligations are if we are sort of all one little mass of carbon and hydrogen and oxygen.
Okay, cool, that's fine. You answered the must not read a priori shell, right?
Yeah, the one about how it has to link to a cohesive framework. I just said that I meet because I link things to truth testing, and I link things to all my offense links to truth testing, which means that none of it is a priori. And
I guess what's offense under truth testing?
Skep is offense under truth testing. The burden NC is offense under truth testing. Monism is offense under truth testing.
What's the bright line for proving the resolution? I guess true or false.
Sure. I guess the argument is we would need to win that a normative framework proves that the application of the resolution is bad or incoherent or impossible. So we need to win using a framework that the 1AC or the resolution rather is not morally desirable, I suppose you could say.
Okay, that's fine. I guess, hold on. Presumption and permissibility negate stuff. What's the semantics one?
Yeah, it's saying that unless you have a proactive obligation, it's really that simple. Unless you have a proactive obligation to do something, then don't. It's saying that then permissibility would flip negative for that reason. And that's the triple trichotomy, prohibition, obligation, permissibility, whatever.
Okay, cool. I'm running prep now. it'll be like a overview like on the truth testing and like theory stuff. So I guess you can just flow that on like the neg overview page. And then it'll be the freedom stuff, mononism or whatever, yeah. And then wait, sorry. I'm like lagging right now. Oh, and then skep.
Alright, overview, option order.
Yeah.
Alright. Want to doc or anything?
Oh, there are cards. I mean, I guess I'll send them. My hair should be at the bottom.
Oh, it's at the bottom. Alright.
Let me know when everyone's good.
I'm good.
Cool. Alright. Scope, are you good? Okay. On my first third. Conceding to truth testing, but that means truth testing takes out theory and all the RBI's. Theory is not constitutive to the resolution. It doesn't prove the resolution false in any way, which means it's not offense under their framework. But additionally, you prefer constitutivism over fairness. They read the warrant for you. Debate can't exist without debate can't be fair if the rules of debate didn't exist in the first place, which means that constitutivism comes as a prerequisite. Now, affirm there are no possible negations of trivialism either. Denials and empty set or negations are just conducts. That's caveat denial of trivialism. The possibility drives the alternative view of trivialism. There's no proposition to alter the proposition of conduct trivialism. So no one is not the actual realized is not true by claiming trivialism is incoherent, nor by pointing out trivialism is incompatible with perceptual experiences. All claims are conjuncts that express trivialism. Each of these are generals of the concept of trivialism. Two is that any action under one framework doesn't preclude action under another, which means the locus of moral duty is sufficient. It has uncontested obligatory power. Alternative conclusion result means to reach a firm decision. I affirm my decision to win. Three is pure consistent logic is self-evident, necessary, and outweighs on proximity. This Weber 22. Logic makes most important making sense. The L system handle inconsistency by accepting mutually mentioned contradictions. The pair consistent allow for the paradox to go through theoretical virtues and virtues. Except in the natural world, if the world is inconsistent, the consistency is no virtue. Classical logic makes too many arguments valid answers, both yes and no. And four is that if the resolution is true, then wrote out the rules of logic. Claim statements invalid if the antecedent is true, but the consequent is false. Reject uncarded responses. Stanford knows better than a high school. That's SEP. Conditional is true as an involved constant must be false for any accommodation. The conditional is true. And five is all neg arguments presuppose the affirmative being true since they begin with the descriptive premise of the affirmative then to justify why it's bad. But if the act does not have a truth value, then that entails the descriptive premise would also not have a truth value, which is a contradiction. Now the I guess like on the presumption permissibility stuff. Presumption of permissibility affirm one is logic. If it's permissible to do P, then you don't have an obligation to try not to do P. By definition, that's paraphrasing, but non-remote obligatory that would be permissible at POBP. Thus, if you don't have an obligation to do P, then you don't have an obligation to do P by the law of double negation. Two is probability statements are true before false. Since if I told you my name was Sophie, you would believe me to read some statistics. We wouldn't be able to start a strand of reasoning since we'd have to question that reasoning. Four, otherwise we'd have to proactively justify mundane activities like drinking water. The presumption personally negates of one off semantics there. Obviously there's semantics. The logic stuff answers semantics. But two negating is harder. That's obviously not true. There's a times few on the affirmative, which means every speech time is shorter and obviously the RBI stuff, no, that's taken out by truth testing because RBIs definitely don't prove the resolution true or false. The first off. First is that index schools definitely takes this out. Just because you've proved that the resolution is true under another framework doesn't mean that is probably proving the resolution false. I've proved the resolution true under my framework, so you should extend freedom under non-domination under a well-typed able to reduce political influence, which is key to influence a form of non-domination. Pettit definitively affirms, which means there's no reason as to why this is offense under truth testing, but independently we've given you justifications as to why taxes are uniquely good because even if they violate some form of freedom, it doesn't matter because Pettit views it as a form of non-domination. So if the the wealthy are dominating like the poor in some way, and that means that the government has an obligation to tax them because they have violated the freedom of domination to begin with. Monoism. One is that this doesn't disprove a moral obligation. Even if only one thing can exist, that still means we should have an obligation to prevent domination, even if there was only one thing. But two is that again, indexalism applies to how so does all of the affirmative offense. I'll prove all the skep warrants. I'll answer them here. One is the circularity, just that their impact claims are zero. Both uniqueness claim and link relies on the premises that we've epistemically indicted as unreliable. A is that externalism fails. It's impossible to determine whether you were dreaming in a simulation or being mind controlled by an evil demon. That's one is Chapman diagrams. B is induction fails to make inferences about the future, makes past requires to believe they're true or correlated, which is premises impossible to without appealing to circular logic and permutation actually that doesn't make sense. But independently the Holmes evidence we read should take out every point of skepticism. We can still have more obligations even if we're dreaming or reality is false.
Okay, I think I have like 147 left. I'll start. Any a prioris in the 1AR? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Alright. Order is going to be presumption, permissibility, trivialism, indexicals, whatever, skepticism. Next.
Wait. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Presumption, permissibility, trivialism / indexicals / the a prioris, and then skep. Alright.
I'm good.
Everyone else good? Okay.
This debate can easily be signed negative and is essentially over on the presumption and permissibility page. Sophie conceded that they do not get any new 1AR justifications for presumption and permissibility because of the 2 versus 1 speech queue, where they have 2 speeches to introduce and defend why presumption and permissibility affirms, but I only have 1 to answer all of it. That means they should constrain their ability to win any of these arguments and therefore constrain their ability to win the round, because things like trivialism and a prioris are normally contingent upon things like presumption and permissibility. I want you to go onto your flow, highlight all their justifications, and hit the backspace button, because this was completely dropped. If I'm winning presumption and permissibility, I'm most likely winning this debate for 2 reasons. One is simply because trivialism being true and indexicals being true does not have an implication beyond saying it is logically impossible to negate the resolution, but that must imply that you somehow presume affirmative, which they do not have access to if they are losing the presumption and permissibility debate in the first place. Otherwise, trivialism is just free-floating nonsense from a dude who does not deserve a PhD in philosophy because of the bullshit he's been spewing. They have conceded, therefore, that for logical and semantic reasons, of permissibility negates because absent a proactive obligation to do something, you vote negative because of the trichotomy triple which we have justified in the 1 and C. This means that absent a proactive obligation to affirm, they have not done judge instruction in the 1AR about why trivialism being completely true even means or necessitates that you sign an affirmative ballot. They have just told you sort of a reality about logic and have not told you what the hell to do with it, which means you should not do the work for them. You should easily be airing negative on sort of a tiebreaker argument. You should also presume negative because what is the world of the affirmative anymore? They have made claims, like under truth testing, they have to sort of prove the resolution true, right? This does not prove the resolution true. This just proves that it's difficult to logically prove things false. It does not mean that they are necessarily meeting their resolutional burden, but we are, through our offense, presumption negates concede the safety argument that it's ethically safer to presume the status quo. It is especially safer to presume the negative in this debate because what on earth is the affirmative at the end of this debate? It's probably going to be a surprise after the 2AR, most likely the sort of actual tricky stuff proper, like whatever they read, the framing stuff, fine, truth testing's conceded, I'll line by line all the stuff. They say there are no obligations because of trivialism. This is wrong. Skep definitely answers this, which we'll get to, but trivialism, in a world in which everything is true under trivialism, that also means that skepticism is true, which logically cascades because it means that we should be skeptical of the truth of trivialism, therefore, which means that things are logically impossible to think about, which probably makes your head spin, which means that you should presume negative on a risk that we are skeptical of trivialism being true. Second, they say actions under one framework do not preclude the action of another, which is the indexicals argument. One, that indexicals are impossible to equate in a debate round and it'll lead to irresolvability because all the judges have a different index about how we evaluate rounds, seeing as the fact that like judges split all the time and judges have paradigms that are necessarily different. It means that things like even if things are true to one person, it does not mean that things are true to another person. Indexicals and trivialism also turn each other. If everything is true, then there should never be multiple indexes in the first place, which means that they logically contradict. They didn't realize this because they don't know what they're talking about in the 1AR. They say resolve means firm and intent to win. This is a wash because when I negate the resolved, I am firmly determined to win this debate also as per the negative, and our burdens are equal under truth testing, which means that we are probably both equally firm, which means that at best that this is just this sort of cuts both ways. They say paraconsistent logic outweighs. What do you think paraconsistent logic is? If you don't know what it is, don't use your prior knowledge, only use what was given to you in the 1AR, which is absolutely nothing. And also the sort of trivialism stuff, Cabay literally answers this by saying that like all triv, right? All triv is the concept that the opposite of trivialism is true. In a world in which either skepticism is true or trivialism is true, it means that there is equal weight to all triv, which means that trivialism literally takes itself out, which means that it triggers presumption. They say condo logic. One, they have not won that the resolution is a conditional statement. Second, the Stanford card is so hella underwarranted. Do not use your prior knowledge of condo logic when you sort of make a decision in this round because they have just sort of not won why it makes any sense. They say all negative arguments presuppose the resolution true. No, the negative arguments presuppose that the affirmative has read arguments. We deny the truth of those arguments. We assume that they are true only in proving that they are false. If I prove that they are false, this a priori just doesn't mean anything. Even if I am behind on a specific a priori, it doesn't matter because I'm sort of winning that we should be skeptical of any of the claims that they have made. But again, the biggest problem here is that there is no judge instruction. They have not told you, oh, trivialism is true, thus presume affirmative, or that permissibility affirms. All you know is that trivialism is true. What the hell does that mean? It means that the resolution could both be true or false, which means that you err negative on you err negative on presumption of permissibility, the skepticism NC. Skep is conceded. Their answers about induction and externalism were on the monism NC. I'm not going for monism or the arguments about or the sort of Pettit NC. Neither of them matter. Conceded that skepticism that skepticism negates the resolution. First is logic. If skep has a risk of being true, it's impossible to know whether the act's actions are moral or immoral, which means that they certainly don't have access to presumption of permissibility, probably because of this. But also it means it's impossible to know whether the act is true or false. We are constantly skeptical. This constant circulation of being a skeptic means that you should err negative on presumption and permissibility. Skepticism triggers permissibility. The affirmative is no longer normative. They do not impose obligations. They also do not impose truth value at all, basically, which means that you should err negative because you should err negative because in an instance in which there is no ethical framework that is telling us what to do, we should presume that everything is doable, which means everything is permissible, which means permissibility definitely negates. Look, I saw all of you guys' faces after the 1AR started reading. This is way complicated. It's funny, Scopa, that you actually judge the exact same debate at Valley. You should make a similar decision because it's just the true decision. Conceded the argument from relativity also, which can sort of constrain how judges evaluate the round, which says that each person has their own understanding of the right and wrong, which means that trivialism is therefore incorrect. If ethics are relative and conceptions of truth are relative, then trivialism cannot impose a universal truth. This is also justified by the sort of F point of ethical pluralism. We all have different views on ethics, which means that everything being true is wrong because we believe that some ethical standpoints are false, which means that this debate comes down to simplicity. We are winning that you should be skeptical of any claims that the 1AR makes. All of it was too late breaking, and they are losing that they do not get presumption of permissibility, which means there is no implication to trivialism regardless of what the 2AR is going to get up and say, which means vote neg on presumption of permissibility because of the existence of skep.
Okay, I have 40 seconds, but I'm taking that now.
The water.
I stole it from Dalton. What's the order?
Fantastic question. It'll be case and then skep.
I'm good. Wait, what is case? Is that like whatever the 1 hour was?
Yes, it's whatever the one I
Alright.
was. Okay. Hold on. Skep. Or, actually, hold on. It'll be case, like an extension of case at the top, and then it'll be like skep, and then it'll be whatever the 1 hour was.
Okay.
Yeah, so skep is okay. Alright. The issue with the 2NR is that the 2NR has not one reason as to why there's not an obligation to affirm. They've conceded every piece of 1AC framework in the offense, so you should extend it. The Pettit non-domination means we have an obligation to implement, a wealth tax, even if we are skeptical. Now, on skep proper, one is that they've conceded the Holmes evidence. I know it's really blipping the 1AR, but you feel very comfortable voting on it. Holmes definitely takes out skepticism because it means that we can still have more obligations, even if truth doesn't exist, or like fictionalism, or even if in a world of like fictionalism, which means that even if you don't think that there are more obligations or there are multiple more obligations, doesn't matter. We still have an individual moral obligation, which was the affirmative. In this case, is completely conceded. This Holmes evidence is completely conceded. You should feel very comfortable voting affirmative on this. But now on index schools, you should extend index schools. This I don't need to be winning permissibility or presumption to be winning this, because I just need to win that the affirmative is true in one instance, because that is what the role of the battle was. Frameworks based per part of infinite metrics to determine the best framework. That is proven by skep, which means that there's no one true moral theory. For example, if I'm a Kantian, I still have an obligation under Kant, even the act is bad under Hobbes. That means a single locus doing moral duty proves the resolution is morally just under a framework is sufficient to affirm. So you should vote affirmative on the index. Well, I want that auto affirms under truth testing. A single index affirms means the resolution is true and an ethical statement. Again, I don't need to win presumption or permissibility because I'm winning that there is offense in this. I'm winning offense in this round, even if they're winning that like immoral like theories don't exist or whatever skepticism says. It doesn't matter because they can see the Holmes evidence that says even if that doesn't exist and even if things are fictional, you can still find a moral obligation to do something, which one again was completely conceded. But I'll do the line by line on indexicals right here. They say that trivialism double turns indexicals, but we'll concede that there's no impact to trivialism whatsoever, which means that there is no double turn. Indexicals is still offense for us. They say there's different indexes about how to evaluate different rounds. Okay, so what? That doesn't answer indexicals. It just proves that as long as I'm winning the index under my framework, then you should feel very comfortable voting affirmative. I'm not even joking. I think that was like all they said, like 2 indexicals, which is like pretty intuitively like an ass ballot. Like, okay, look, judge instruction here. Even if I'm losing the skep debate, even if I conceded presumption, like I can't say presumption, permissibility affirm, it doesn't matter because I don't need to win that like permissibility or presumption affirms if I'm winning indexicals, right? If I prove that my framework, which was I guess like conceded, gives me like an obligation to affirm. Like even if skepticism is true under a world of my framework, it doesn't matter because the Holmes evidence says even if skepticism is true in the world of the affirmative, so what? We still have an obligation to do the affirmative But additionally, there was evidence read that was like we can have even if we have multiple obligations or people have different obligations, we can we should still have a moral obligation. But independently, Pettit definitely solved skepticism because Jensen said if there's different moral thoughts and ever, then the best thing we can do is non-domination, which is what the affirmative does, and that was the offense.
Good.